luxury sales are slowing down. But there is one brand that seems to be immune to all of this, and that brand is Hermes. It seems as though that even in a recession, Hermes is still getting our coins, and I wanted to sort of break down why that might be. What makes them so special? Why, when we aren't spending as much at other brands, are we still spending at Hermes? Guys, if you're new here, my name is Cassie and I'm a self-diagnosed luxury addict. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so if you like luxury fashion, then you're going to love it here. So head down there, subscribe, turn on the bell, become a member of our luxury addicted family. When are we going to rehab? Never. Over the last few weeks, all of the luxury brands and conglomerates have been reporting They've been putting out them financial reports, okay? And whilst I cannot read a balance sheet to save my life, there seems to be the general consensus that your LVMH, your Kering, growth has been a lot slower towards coming to the end of this year than it was at the beginning of this year and also last year. So we're seeing brands like Gucci slow down a lot. That kind of makes sense because they do seem to be in a bit of a state of flux. We've not seen Sabato De Sarno's new collection come into stores yet. So we've kind of got this interim of the Gucci design team's designs, but it's not Alessandro Michele and it's not the new Gucci. So fine, that kind of makes sense. But other brands under Kering, including Bottega, Saint Laurent, McQueen, all of that, the group in general reported that sales are 9% down. But in Q3 of this year alone, Hermes reported that their sales are up 16%. This isn't just a little 1 or 2%. This is double-digit growth. Oh my gosh, her economics degree has been put into use. There are a few reasons as to why Hermes has sort of become the untouchable in this sense. And there's a few reasons that when you kind of put everything together has contributed to them kind of being immune to what all of the other brands are going through. By the way, this is not sort of like all-encompassing. I will be sort of generalising. There are other brands in luxury that have performed very well. The Zegna Group, Brunello Cucinelli, they're all reporting a bit of growth as well. That sort of makes sense. But I think Hermes is a bit of a unique one. They always are a bit of a unique one. So that's why I'm kind of going to be focusing on them today. Now, the first reason cannot be denied that it is the quiet luxury of it all. And whilst I've done a video talking about like how quiet luxury is a Birkin or a Kelly, you know, sort of thing, because we all know, we all see the bag, we all know you spent a lot of money on that, okay? It's not actually that quiet luxury, but you know what I mean. In terms of the more minimalist, no logos, right? Let's go down that route. Less logos, investing in those timeless classic, you know, investment pieces that will be workhorses in your wardrobe and might be worth more than gold as per the markets. We all know when it comes to investment bags, your best bets are your Birkins and your Kellys. We've seen fashion in general move towards this more minimalist, logoless, if you know, you know, supermodel off duty, elevated basics, neutrals kind of thing over the last year, definitely. Like, we are talking about quiet luxury like we have never talked before. And whilst an Hermes bag might cost 3 times the price of a bag at any other kind of designer brand, your Gucci, your Louis Vuitton, stuff like, maybe not Chanel, you cannot get more classic than that. Than those pieces, if you know what I mean. You know, these are bags that are like the backbone of luxury fashion and seem to be the pinnacle of designer bags and stuff like that. You cannot get more like timeless, classic, passed down through generations than Hermes bags, quota bags specifically. Now, when you pair that with the fact that luxury pricing across the board has shot up recently, and whilst Hermes is widely regarded to be like the creme de la creme of luxury fashion brands, when you have all of these other brands doing price increases or introducing pieces and, you know, the price is much higher than if that item would have been released a year or two ago, right? Hermes pricing has always been at the top. But now you kind of have that gap closing a bit, plus the fact that a lot of the other brands, not all, but a lot, we've sort of seen a decrease in quality come along with that. People are going, do you want to know what? I might just add X amount and I'll go to Hermès, right? You know that they kind of have the quality to back it up. Their aftercare service is actually great. Like, so for example, Alyssa, as we know, my wonderful friend, bought a pre-loved shoulder Kelly from, like, I don't know, years ago, right? And it was in a bit of a state. She bought it pre-loved. Took it to Hermès. They took it in and have restored her back to her former glory. Which other brands are offering such a service, right? Yes, it does come with a price, but actually the price I thought was quite reasonable for what it was. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like, oh, I may as well have bought another bag for that, you know. It was fair. They kept her updated on the process, blah, blah, blah. There's not many other brands that would do that. And what else is sort of strange is that even though the price point is high, Hermes maybe does a price increase every year in sort of in line with inflation, blah, blah, blah. And while we are talking about top big ticket items here, they almost come across as less greedy than other brands. I know, it's a bit shocking. And at times they have, am I right in thinking that at times they've sort of, prices have like slightly been adjusted down and stuff. They do sort of come across as less grabby and less greedy than some of the other luxury brands, Chanel. Many price increases in a year. Now, recently Brian Boy did a post on Instagram that I will have here, but basically to summarise it, he was talking about how in the pandemic, you know, there wasn't as many jobs come in, so he considered selling a lot of his designer items, but he would look at the resale price, and the resale price was, you know, 1/10 or 20% of what he paid for it. So it actually wasn't worth it to him to let go of these pieces. But there are two brands that outperform everybody else on the resale market. As we know, those brands are Chanel and Hermes. And so since then, he's sort of been prioritising these brands in his shopping because he knows that the investment value is there. But the other thing that he sort of brings up is that there's a lot of knowledge online about Hermès now, which brings us to reason number 3. General knowledge of Hermès has shot up, right? If you go on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube, right? I, for one, have also shared my Hermès journey and how to get an Hermès bag and all of this. This information was not readily available before. You had to go clicking around in the depths of the internet to find somebody sharing their experience so that you knew how to get a sodding bag. But again, Brian Boy sort of mentions in that post that because of the amount of information now, people are more aware of, like, why is Hermès so highly regarded? Why do people want to start their Hermès journey and all of this, right? And I mean, you can find out how to start your Hermès journey, what the quality is like, what people's experiences are like, and how much the items are, because that's another thing. You wouldn't be able to find out how much a Birkin was, and you might have a wildly different amount in your head compared to what it is. All of this information is now much more accessible than it was. So, more people are more sort of converted to go down the Hermès route. And you know what? Okay, the next time I want to buy a luxury item, I'm going to go to Hermès because I now know what the ins and outs are of this brand. Another thing that cannot be taken for granted, especially when it comes to Hermès' performance compared to other brands, is Business of Fashion have referenced this, but they make a great point in their article. Hermès client, regular customer, is the person that, in times of a recession, the last budget that's going to be cut is their Hermès budget, okay? No matter what's going on, should that quota bag come through, I'll find a way to pay for it, right? There is such hype, and I don't even know what the word is. Hype is too small of a word, that surrounds the kind of mythical fantasy around the Birkin and the Kelly, such that if you are obsessed with fashion in that way, you'll be like, listen, should that call come, it's happening no matter what. And the Hermes customer is, you know, a customer that's spending, the average Hermes customer is spending more than the average, let's say, Jacquemus customer or Gucci customer, right? And they are the ones least likely to cut their fashion budget when something like a recession comes along, right? Hermes is truly a force to be reckoned with. And, you know, for all we know, all these things are cyclical, and in 10 years' time, we're not talking about them as much as another brand, but I doubt that. They are very much the backbone of a certain kind of luxury fashion, and they are truly riding the wave, as they should be. But the other thing about Hermes that I think tracks the same as when I've done my deep dives on the Row and Chrome Hearts. If you haven't seen them, check them out. I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I do think that they're quite interesting, you know, and somewhat entertaining. So you should go have a look if you haven't already. There'll be a link below. But what Hermes has in common with those other brands is that they are very much in their own lane, and fair enough, quiet luxury is trending now, but regardless of if it was or wasn't, Hermes knows exactly who they are. They do not do anything kind of crazy or outside of that, and that contributes to their success. They do what they do, and they do it well in terms of product. In terms of marketing, this is a strategy that has been tried to be copied and pasted by other brands to nowhere near the same level of success. So there we go. That's why Hermes is somewhat indestructible. Let me know what you think. I'm going to leave a link to another video over here in case you haven't already seen it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. And in the words of my father,
if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you haven't, keep your mouth shut.
I will see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye guys.